People often talk about changing your life as if it is a simple decision, like flipping a switch or opening a new door. But deep down, you already know it rarely feels that easy. If change were truly simple, you would not still be carrying the same frustrations, the same unfinished goals, the same promises you made to yourself last month, last year, or maybe even years ago. You already know what you want to improve. You know the habits that drain your energy, the fear that keeps you silent, the excuses that delay your growth, and the dreams that quietly wait in the background, while daily life keeps distracting you. The real struggle is not that you are completely lost. The struggle is that you are exhausted. You are tired of starting over, tired of feeling motivated for a few days and then watching that motivation disappear, tired of believing this time will be different and then facing the same patterns again. This exhaustion can make you question yourself. It can make you wonder if maybe you are the problem, if maybe you lack discipline, intelligence, or strength. But what if the truth is different? What if change feels difficult, not because you are incapable, but because your mind is doing exactly what it was designed to do? Most people never learn this important truth. Your brain is not built to chase transformation. Your brain is built to protect you. And protection often means holding on to what feels familiar, even when what feels familiar is limiting, frustrating, or painful. Familiar does not always mean healthy. Familiar simply means known. Your mind would often rather keep you in an old struggle it understands than risk stepping into a new possibility it cannot yet predict. This is why even positive change can feel uncomfortable. The moment you try to break an old pattern, your system notices. It senses uncertainty. It asks questions. Is this safe? Is this necessary? Why are we doing something different? Suddenly, resistance appears. You call it laziness, you call it fear, you call it procrastination. But often, it is simply your nervous system trying to keep you inside the boundaries it already recognizes. Imagine someone who has spent years avoiding opportunities because they fear embarrassment. Maybe they want to improve their English, speak confidently, or express themselves more openly. But silence has become their comfort zone. Silence may feel frustrating, but it also feels safe. Then one day they decide to speak more, practice more, and challenge themselves. What happens? Anxiety rises, doubt appears, their chest tightens. Thoughts whisper, "Stay quiet, wait, you are not ready." This does not mean they are failing. It means they are stepping beyond what their brain has labeled as safe. The discomfort is not proof they should stop. It is proof that they are entering new territory. This understanding changes everything because instead of seeing resistance as weakness, you begin to see it as a natural response to growth. There is another trap that makes change even harder, and it is the dangerous belief that transformation must happen perfectly. Many people approach self improvement with extreme rules. They decide that from tomorrow they will completely transform everything. They will wake up early every day, study for hours, exercise constantly, and never miss a step. For a short time, this intensity feels powerful. It creates excitement. But then reality arrives. One difficult day, one missed habit, one moment of exhaustion, and suddenly the plan breaks. Instead of adjusting, they assume they failed. Their mind says, "You already ruined it, so why continue?" This is where perfectionism quietly destroys progress. It convinces people that one imperfect moment means the entire journey is worthless. But real growth has never worked that way. Real growth is messy. It includes mistakes, pauses, setbacks, and restarts. Change does not move in a straight line. It moves like a human life moves, with uncertainty, lessons, and imperfect steps forward. If you believe you must change flawlessly, you will keep quitting every time reality reminds you that you are human. The truth is far more compassionate and far more powerful. Lasting change often begins not with dramatic action, but with smaller decisions repeated consistently, especially when those decisions feel too small to impress your ego. Your ego wants immediate transformation. Your deeper growth requires sustainable movement. That means sometimes your greatest victory is not changing everything overnight, but proving to yourself that you can return, continue, and keep going even after you stumble. This is where true strength begins, not in becoming perfect instantly, but in refusing to abandon yourself when the process feels slower than you hoped. Change is hard because your brain values safety, your habits value familiarity, and your fears often protect an old identity. But hard does not mean impossible. It means you are confronting patterns that were built over time, and anything built over time can also be rebuilt, one honest step at a time. Another reason change can feel so heavy is because it does not only challenge your actions, it challenges the story you have been telling yourself about who you are. Over time, every repeated behavior becomes connected to identity. If you have spent years saying things like, I am bad at consistency, I always quit, I am too shy, I am not smart enough, or I am just not the kind of person who succeeds at this. Those thoughts stop feeling like temporary emotions and start feeling like facts. They become internal labels, and even when those labels hurt, they create a strange kind of certainty. There is a painful comfort in believing you already know yourself, even if that version of yourself feels disappointing. Why? Because identity gives structure. It creates a script. And as long as you stay inside that script, life feels predictable. The moment you try to change, however, you are not simply adjusting a habit, you are rewriting that script. You are questioning the identity that has been guiding your choices. That can feel deeply unsettling. If someone who always believed they were not capable suddenly begins acting with discipline, courage, or confidence, a part of their mind may resist, not because growth is bad, but because growth creates uncertainty. It asks, who am I becoming now? Will people notice? Will they expect more from me? What if I fail after trying? These questions can create internal sabotage. Sometimes people return to old habits not because they truly want to, but because their old identity feels more familiar than the unknown version of themselves they are trying to build. This is why growth often feels like an internal battle. You are not just fighting bad habits. You are negotiating with an older version of yourself that wants to remain in control. Consider the person learning English who has spent years quietly believing they are just not good at languages. Every mistake becomes evidence. Every awkward conversation reinforces the old identity. So, when they finally decide to practice more seriously, it is not just grammar they are confronting. They are confronting years of self definition. Speaking up feels bigger than words. It feels like challenging a deeply rooted belief. This is why one mistake can feel emotionally overwhelming. It is not just a pronunciation error. It feels like proof that the old identity was right all along. But this is exactly where transformation becomes possible, because identity is not fixed, it is reinforced by repetition. And what repetition created, repetition can reshape. Every time you act differently, even in a small way, you begin collecting evidence for a new story. Every time you study when you once avoided, speak when you once stayed silent, or return after quitting when you once gave up completely, you are weakening the old identity and strengthening a new one. But this process requires patience because your mind rarely abandons old stories immediately. It tests you, it pulls you backward, it whispers familiar excuses because familiar excuses protect familiar identities. This is why small, consistent action matters so much. Big declarations can feel exciting, but identity shifts more powerfully through repeated proof than dramatic promises. Saying, I am becoming someone who follows through is often more powerful than demanding, I must become perfect now. One approach creates growth, the other creates pressure. Pressure can inspire temporarily, but growth rooted in identity tends to last longer because it changes how you see yourself. There is also a deeper emotional challenge. Change often means grieving parts of yourself that once felt necessary. Maybe your procrastination protected you from fear of failure. Maybe your silence protected you from judgment. Maybe your excuses protected you from disappointment. These patterns may no longer serve you, but at one time they probably had a purpose. Understanding this can help you approach yourself with more wisdom. Instead of attacking your old self with shame, you can recognize that many old patterns were attempts at protection, even if they are now limiting you. This does not mean you stay trapped in them. It means you evolve without unnecessary self hatred. True growth is not built only through force, it is often built through awareness. Awareness allows you to notice when your old identity is speaking and choose differently. You may still hear the thought, I always fail. But instead of obeying it, you can respond, that was an old pattern, not my future. This shift sounds small, but it is powerful. You are separating yourself from the old script instead of surrendering to it automatically. The process of change becomes less about destroying who you were and more about expanding who you can become. And that expansion is uncomfortable because growth requires uncertainty. But uncertainty is not always danger. Sometimes uncertainty is simply the space where your next version is being built. So if change feels emotionally difficult, it may not mean you are incapable. It may mean your identity is stretching beyond familiar limits. That stretching can feel awkward, vulnerable, and slow. But it is also where real transformation begins because the moment you stop treating your old labels as permanent truths, you create room for something stronger, wiser, and more intentional to emerge. Once you understand that change is not only about habits, but also about safety and identity, a more important question begins to emerge. How do you actually move forward in a way your mind can sustain? The answer is often much simpler than your ego wants to believe, but simplicity should never be confused with weakness. Real change usually begins when you stop demanding massive overnight transformation and start respecting the psychology of gradual progress. Many people fail not because they lack desire, but because they try to force themselves into a version of life so extreme that their brain immediately interprets it as a threat. They create plans that sound impressive but feel impossible to maintain. They promise themselves that tomorrow everything will be different. They will wake up earlier, study longer, avoid every distraction, fix every weakness, and become a new person all at once. For a few days, this intensity can feel exciting. It creates emotional momentum, but eventually the pressure becomes exhausting, and the moment exhaustion appears, the system collapses. Then comes guilt. Then comes self criticism. Then comes the dangerous belief that they simply are not capable of change. But the real issue was often not lack of ability, it was unsustainable strategy. Your brain adapts more effectively when change feels manageable enough to repeat. This is why smaller steps can often create bigger long term results. If someone wants to improve their English, for example, committing to 2 focused hours every single day may sound admirable, but if that goal creates dread, inconsistency, or burnout, it may not last. 15 or 20 intentional minutes a day may sound less dramatic, but repeated over months, it can reshape confidence, vocabulary, listening ability, and self trust. Consistency often matters more than intensity because consistency teaches your brain that this new behavior is normal. It reduces the sense of threat. It transforms practice from an emergency into a routine. This same principle applies to almost every area of life. The key is not asking, what would impress me today? The key is asking, what can I realistically repeat enough times that it becomes part of who I am? This question protects you from perfectionism because it shifts your focus from proving something immediately to building something gradually. Another crucial principle is learning how to interpret resistance correctly. Resistance does not automatically mean stop. Most people misunderstand discomfort. They assume that if something feels mentally difficult, then maybe it is wrong for them. But discomfort often appears whenever you are doing something unfamiliar. If you begin speaking more, studying more, or showing up differently, your brain may respond with doubt, boredom, fear, or irritation. These feelings can be powerful, but they are not always warnings. Often, they are simply signs that your system is adjusting. Think of resistance less like a wall and more like a doorway. It is uncomfortable because it separates the known from the unknown. If you expect resistance, you become less likely to panic when it appears. Instead of saying, "This feels hard, so maybe I should quit," you begin saying, "This feels hard because I am practicing something new." That shift can protect your progress during emotionally difficult moments. It allows you to continue gently rather than retreat automatically. Another major breakthrough comes when you stop treating setbacks like disasters. Missing one day does not erase growth. Struggling does not cancel progress. Real change becomes sustainable when you learn to restart quickly instead of wasting energy on shame. Shame often keeps people stuck longer than failure itself. They miss one day, then spend a week feeling guilty, and that guilt becomes another excuse to avoid restarting. But if you can say, "I slipped today, but I return tomorrow," you protect momentum. This mindset builds resilience because resilience is not perfection. Resilience is recovery. It is the ability to return without making every mistake mean something devastating about your worth. This also requires redefining success. Success is not only reaching the final goal, success is often becoming the kind of person who no longer abandons themselves every time progress becomes inconvenient. This identity shift matters deeply because every repeated return strengthens trust in yourself. And self trust may be one of the most valuable parts of transformation. Without it, every goal feels fragile. With it, even slow progress begins to feel meaningful. You start seeing yourself differently, not as someone constantly failing, but as someone learning how to continue. This perspective can completely reshape your journey because instead of chasing motivation alone, you begin building systems, routines, and internal beliefs that support you even when motivation fades. Motivation can inspire action, but systems often sustain it. A visible book, a scheduled study time, a prepared environment, a reduced distraction, or a realistic daily minimum can make growth easier because they reduce friction. The easier you make starting, the less energy you waste negotiating with yourself. And often, starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, momentum can carry you further than emotion alone. This is why sustainable change is rarely about becoming a different human overnight. It is about designing your life in ways that make your better choices more repeatable, more natural, and more aligned with the person you are becoming. In the final stage of understanding change, everything starts to come together in a more realistic and honest way. You begin to see that transformation is not a single moment where everything suddenly becomes easy, but a long relationship with yourself where you slowly learn how to act differently, even when your feelings are not fully aligned yet. Most people imagine change as a clear before and after picture, but real life is much more subtle. It is made of small decisions that feel almost invisible in the moment, yet slowly shape a completely different future. One of the biggest turning points happens when you stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is often a delay created by the mind. If you only act when you feel fully confident, fully motivated, or fully fearless, you may stay stuck longer than necessary because those perfect emotional states rarely arrive on demand. Instead, progress often begins when you act while still uncertain, while still uncomfortable, while still carrying doubt in the background. This is where courage actually lives, not in the absence of fear, but in movement despite it. When you understand this, your relationship with effort changes. You stop treating discomfort as a stop sign and start treating it as part of the process. You also begin to notice that motivation is not stable. It rises and falls like weather. If you depend only on motivation, your consistency will always be fragile. But if you build a structure that supports you even on low energy days, your progress becomes more reliable. This is why systems matter more than emotional peaks. A simple routine, a fixed time, a small daily commitment, or even a minimum version of your habit can carry you forward when your mind tries to slow you down. For example, if your goal is to improve English, the real power is not in occasional intense study sessions, but in showing up regularly, even in small amounts. Listening for a short time, speaking a few sentences, or reading a small paragraph every day might not feel impressive in the moment, but over weeks and months, it builds familiarity, confidence, and fluency in a way that intense but inconsistent effort cannot. Your brain learns through repetition, not intention alone. Another important realization is that setbacks are not exceptions to the journey, they are part of it. There will be days when you feel off track, distracted, or unmotivated. There will be moments when you break your own expectations. But those moments do not define the entire direction of your life unless you allow them to. The key difference between people who eventually change and people who remain stuck is not that one group never falls, but that one group learns how to return faster. Instead of turning a bad day into a bad identity, they simply reset. They say, "Today was not aligned with what I want, but I can continue tomorrow." This ability to restart without emotional collapse is one of the most powerful skills in personal growth. It protects your momentum from being destroyed by temporary mistakes. As you continue on this path, something even deeper starts to shift. Your self image begins to evolve. You stop seeing yourself only through past behavior and start seeing yourself through current direction. Instead of saying, "I always fail," you start recognizing, "I am someone who is learning to stay consistent." Instead of saying, "I cannot do this," you begin saying, "I am building the ability to do this over time." This subtle change in language reflects a deeper change in identity. You are no longer only defined by where you have been, but also by where you are willing to go. This is where confidence quietly begins to grow, not from perfection, but from evidence. Every small action that aligns with your new direction becomes proof that change is possible. Another important truth is that your environment plays a huge role in your progress. Willpower alone is not enough if everything around you constantly pulls you back into old habits. When you make your desired actions easier and your distractions harder, you reduce internal struggle. If learning English is your goal, surrounding yourself with English content, keeping learning tools visible, and removing unnecessary friction can make a big difference. The less energy you spend deciding, the more energy you can spend doing. Finally, perhaps the most important realization is this: change is not about becoming a completely different person overnight. It is about becoming slightly more aligned with the person you want to be, repeatedly, over time. It is about choosing growth in small moments, even when it is inconvenient, even when it feels slow, even when your mind questions it. There is no dramatic final switch where everything becomes effortless. Instead, there is a quiet accumulation of small wins that slowly reshape your confidence, your habits, and your identity. And one day, without realizing exactly when it happened, you look back and notice that the things which once felt difficult now feel natural. Not because life became easier, but because you became more consistent, more aware, and more willing to continue despite imperfection. That is what real change looks like.